The list of nominees is out for next year's class for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Drew Brees and Larry Fitzgerald headline the list of first-time nominees. They will join some of the finalists from last year that didn't get in, including names like Eli Manning, Reggie Wayne, and Luke Kuechly. All told, there are 128 nominees, and here's a look at some of those other notable first-timers. On offense, that skill player list includes Phillip Rivers, Frank Gore, LaShawn McCoy, Greg Olsen, and Jason Witten. In the trenches, we've got David DeCastro and Marquise Pouncey. And on defense, Geno Atkins and Thomas Davis. The full 128-man list will be cut down to 25 semifinalists later this fall. Hall of Fame nominees are out. Want to point your attention to some of the notable first-time nominees. That list of skill players on offense, we're going to start there. Phillip Rivers, Frank Gore, LaShawn McCoy, Greg Olsen, Jason Witten, just to name a few there. Then in the trenches, David DeCastro and Marquise Pouncey. And on defense, we've got names like Geno Atkins, Thomas Davis. Of course, the full 128-man list is going to get cut down to 25 semifinalists later this fall. We've got our NFL analyst Pete Prisco tapping in to talk about some of these big names and getting into the Hall of Fame. And I didn't mention him there on that list, but let's start the conversation with a guy like Drew Brees, who absolutely changed the way we look at New Orleans. Their only Super Bowl, a guy who is nice as well. But what stands out to you about Drew Brees?
He was a short quarterback who was able to do so many things in the passing game because he repped it. And there were guys over the years when I used to go to New Orleans, they tell me, Zach Strief, who was offensive lineman, said he must have thrown 30 passes where he didn't see the receiver just because he knew where he was. And I asked Drew Brees about it, and he said that was more than that. And that's just who he was. He was so brilliant and so smart. He worked at it, and he's a slam dunk. He's a walk-in Hall of Famer, first ballot. There should be no argument whatsoever.
Over 80,000 passing yards, 571 touchdowns. I mean, you're taking a look at guys who have the most passing yards all time. Only Tom Brady has more than Drew Brees. So certainly some high praise for him throughout his career as he looks to take that next step into the Hall of Fame. Let's continue the quarterback conversation, though, Pete. I want to talk about Phillip Rivers, 8 Pro Bowls, but when we talk about Phillip Rivers, the postseason is kind of what comes into play, right? The postseason record and what he was able to do there, or not able to do, I guess. What do you think about Phillip Rivers as a Hall of Famer?
I think he's a Hall of Famer. I think he's going to have a tough time getting in. It won't be, it might be a couple years, but I think ultimately he's going to get in. And, we talk about him in the postseason. He played against the Patriots in the championship game on a torn ACL. And he stayed in the game. That's who Phillip Rivers is. I once told him this, most people saw him this way. He was one of the nicest human beings you'll ever meet off the field, and he was downright nasty on it. He had a mouth on him, and he would talk to anybody and everybody. The competitive drive was unreal, and I think ultimately he'll get in. I just don't think it'll be a first ballot.
All that smack talk, but never a curse word coming out of his mouth.
Nope, they were always clean as can be.
Oh, I love that. That makes it almost feel a little bit more nasty when you can curse somebody out without cursing them out. Let's go from the quarterback spot to the running back spot, one of your favorite positions in the game. But I want to talk to you about Frank Gore. 16,000 rushing yards on the dot for him, 5 Pro Bowls. He's already in the Hall of Fame for the 49ers. But what do you think about him as a Pro Football Hall of Famer?
He's third all-time in rushing, so he's going to get in, and he should get in. And look, he was a great player. He had a long career. Longevity matters for the running back position, so you got to give him credit for that. Now, having said all that, I'm going to flip the side to my buddy Fred Taylor.
Of course you are.
Fred Taylor's still up for the Hall of Fame. Fred Taylor was a better player than Frank Gore. Frank Gore just played longer. You go look at the numbers. Frank Gore didn't average as many yards per carry. He's 0.3 less than that, 4.6 to 4.3. Not as many yards per game, 10 more for Fred Taylor. And how many seasons did they have over 4.5 per rush? Fred had 8. He had 4. So they're both in the Hall of Fame. Put them both in the Hall of Fame. Frank Gore should be in. Fred Taylor should be in.
All right. Real quick, though, just in terms of Frank Gore, what I guess you mentioned the third in rushing yards, but what stands out about what he's been able to do?
Physical and stayed on the field. I mean, when you played Frank Gore, you felt Frank Gore, and that's the sign of a good running back. He stayed on the field. He played a lot of years. You give him a lot of credit for doing that.
Yeah, longevity, not
Matters.
something that we always see with running backs. What about a guy like Larry Fitzgerald, the resonant Cardinal, the flash, the speed, the route running, all of the things. What can you say about Larry?
Yeah, he's a walk-in Hall of Famer. He's another one that should get in on the first ballot. He was a great player. I mean, big, strong, physical, did so many different things. And he wasn't a burner. I mean, you know, people looked at him and they said, oh, well, but he knew how to run routes. He was physical. And when he played with Kurt Warner, it was such a fun thing to watch him throwing the football. And you look at all those yards. I mean, my gosh. And he played a long time, too. That's another guy that played a long time. But you're ahead of Randy Moss and Terrell Owens on that list. That tells you something, because there's a case to be made that Jerry Rice is clearly the best of all time. There's a case to be made that Randy Moss is number 2 and Terrell Owens is number 3, and he's ahead of them.
You have a specific game or memory of Larry Fitzgerald?
The Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, when he played the Steelers in the Super Bowl, he's fantastic.
Yeah, hard to go against that one. All right, you know I'm excited to talk about this next one. Let's go to my Dallas Cowboys. When you go into the Star in Frisco, Pete, right where the guys eat their lunch, there's a massive photo of Jason Witten getting his helmet blown off in that Eagles game. That pivotal moment to me is Hall of Fame in itself. But when you talk about the way he revolutionized the tight end quarterback relationship in Dallas, I mean, just a great guy potentially going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and I think he will go into the Hall of Fame. He might not go in right away, but I do think he's going to get in. You know, we talk about his catches, and he was great as a receiving tight end, but he was also a really good blocker, too. And, you know, the dual threat tight end is kind of going away. There's some of them left, but this guy was actually a really good blocker and a good receiver. So I think he'll ultimately get in. I don't know if he's going in right away, but you look at those. I mean, the numbers are right there. I mean, you talk about Kelsey. People say, okay, Kelsey's going to go in automatically. Well, Witten's right there with him. I just don't know if he's going to go in the first ballot.
Do you like him better with or without his hair?
Without.
Without, you like
be natural like I am. That'd be like me walking in one day with
without hair.
With hair.
Oh.
Could you imagine if I came in with hair? We actually had a toque on or something. You know?
Maybe we'll bring you one for Sunday, and we'll see what it looks like. Get you
I got pictures of when I actually had full head.
We'll put that on our promo. Pete, want to give you one final look here at the notable first-timers. Anyone else here jump out to you as we wrap this thing up?
I think there's a lot of Hall of Very Good there. I think Pouncey, DeCastro, Atkins, Davis, really good players. Don't see him as Hall of Famers. McCoy is borderline. You know, we get into that running back discussion. He's right there with those guys. So I think he has a chance to get in.
All right, we will keep our eye on it. Again, that list gets smaller and smaller as we get closer to the ceremony. Pete Prisco, you can catch him hanging out with me on Sundays. And Pete, check this out.
Who's that guy in the back there behind you?
Promo. Join myself, Rand Carthen, who's behind me, Pete Prisco, and Damian Harris every Sunday. 30 Eastern on HQ.
You made it, Rand! You made it!
Rand made it, and we hope you make it too every Sunday.